Welcome back, Crime Besties, to another episode of Two Crime Besties with your bitches, Meg and Emma.
The bitches are back.
Guess who's back? We're recording this on a Sunday morning, very different to our normal timing. So we're just like slightly more unhinged than normal, maybe.
Maybe, and we didn't even have wine at breakfast.
I know. Why not, actually?
Why didn't we do
It's
mimosas
the perfect
this
time
morning?
for a mimosa.
Oh, man.
We really missed an opportunity.
We did. How did that occur?
No, I blame you.
Yeah, I threw it because I was late.
It was fine. It was fine. But yes, pre-recording, we had a lovely breakfast. So we're well and truly fueled and ready to go for recording today. But
Yes.
the reason for the delay, we normally record on a Friday, is because it has been a mental week for you in particular. But even without, I don't even know how you've gotten through this week, but even without all of your extra things, it's just been a mental week anyway.
It was going to be a busy week no matter what.
Yeah.
And then just, life became too difficult this week.
It was just one of those things where I just feel like shit was piling on you left, right and centre.
I think I sent you a message one day morning this week of just like, this week can go suck a bag of dicks.
Yeah. It was all a bit much. So we had a just baseline, right? We had a school dress up day.
Yeah.
Then we had the kids' school production, which was on Wednesday night and Thursday night.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, that was so gorgeous.
Oh, so gorgeous.
Funny
and then, yeah, so that was just
two
the
late
week
nights.
anyway.
And then, the usual sports stuff in between that you could fit in and, yeah. And then
on top of that, you just had so much other stuff going on. And then I'm like, you actually cannot. On Friday, I insist you need to actually take a day.
Yeah.
Chill out.
I can't tell you how much I appreciated that. When it hadn't even entered my head, because I had not got to the point of researching to the where I would normally want to be, that I was like, I'm just going to have to find time, like somewhere. I was going to say to you, like in my head, I was like, well, if you're busy Friday morning, then when we start to get later, then I could go and sit in a cafe somewhere and, plow through everything and hardcore cram it. But it hadn't even entered my head of moving the day so when you messaged me that, I was like, oh my God, hallelujah, there's a break in this.
Yeah, we finally get a day to rest. Were you able to do anything nice for yourself on Friday?
I mean, I don't know about nice, but I just took a step back.
Good on you.
In that I got home after we caught up inadvertently, randomly. And then, went home and I'd picked up groceries and stuff like that when I got home, I literally did the bare minimum of what needed to get done. Got a load on, got a load hung out, those bits, and then went, I'm sitting down.
Oh, yay. Good for you.
Yeah.
Did you catch up on some real trash TV?
Over the weekend I have. I'm all caught up on all my Housewives, although I haven't started one that I'm very wanting to start. But
London?
I haven't yet. Yes.
Oh, I can't wait to watch London. I haven't started it yet either. Well, it's only one episode out.
Yeah, right. I wasn't sure exactly how far behind I was.
No,
so
you're not. You're one episode.
Okay, that's right. I'm not feeling bad there because I'm so into the other ones. I don't want to overload that. I'm like, I need to just take in what I've got going on.
Yeah.
I
get it. I'm still actually a couple behind on OC.
Okay.
But
OC
can't wait.
Is mental.
It's mental. But I can't wait to start London. So I'm going to have to, I don't know, figure that out at some point. Yeah. But it's worth it. Worth making the time for the Housewives.
Definitely. I have to say, because of a few episodes back, we got into the Dr. Death one, right? And Joshua Jackson.
Oh, fuck. I just love him.
Well, I've gone back and rewatched Dawson's Creek.
Have you? Is it as good the second time?
Been my guilty pleasure of recent.
Is it as good?
I have to say, it's as good, but at the same time, I see it from a completely different perspective.
Yeah.
And fuck me, Dawson Leary is a narcissistic piece
100%.
of shit. And his dad, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's next level. I never saw that in the show when I watched it.
Of course.
As a kid.
We were kids.
And now I see it and go, oh my God. It just makes me love Pacey even more.
Oh, I know, right?
Oh,
well,
God.
I haven't revisited it in adulthood, but I know the character Dawson, he was so problematic. I even remember at the time, I'm like, how can anyone actually like this guy?
Oh.
But I almost don't want to visit nostalgia. I don't want to change what it is in my mind.
Look, I'm watching it at the moment kind of going, I can't remember. Was I rooting for Dawson at this point, like where I'm at right now?
I don't think I ever rooted for Dawson.
And I can't remember which. I think, is that what we're supposed to be wanting? Is Dawson to win, or am I? Because I'm like, I'm all Team Pacey, 100% Team Pacey, and I think I would have been back then too.
Oh, I was. I had Joshua Jackson posters all over my walls. I just wanted to marry him.
Yeah.
To this day, I want to marry him.
I actually saw an interview with him recently.
Yes.
Oh my God, he's
you know
so
he's
hot
split
now.
up with his wife.
I know.
He's so hot.
I know.
You know his house burnt down in those in the LA fires.
He was being interviewed.
Okay.
Part of the interview he spoke about.
Yep.
And oh my God, he's just beautiful.
He's gorgeous.
The way he was talking about his child and how like the child had gone off to mum's, when this occurred. And he goes, and that was kind of good because it gave me a week to find somewhere for us to live and, and like get prepared for then bringing his child back into the mix to kind of go, this is where we're at and this is what's going on. And he talked about how his child processed it and everything. And it was just... Oh my God, he was so beautiful. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah, that was mum porn.
Watching an interview with Josh Jackson. Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I get that. No. I really, really get that.
Yeah.
We've had some incredible weather this week and it has inspired some spring cleaning in me.
Oh, God.
And so on Friday, because we had, I had a day sort of free then because we weren't doing our podcast. So we bumped into each other at Kmart.
Yes.
And I was getting stuff to
Spending $5.
Spending $5 plus $5 plus $5, which somehow totaled $150. But anyway, because I wanted to like redo some storage stuff in my bathroom. Well,
yeah.
4 hours later, I came out of the bathroom, just a shell of my former self. But I had thrown out like all of my expired makeup and, all that shit that just accumulates. And I haven't used in ages. All the skincare that I've opened and just not used and whatever. Yeah. And I'm down to like bare bones now and it is giving me life.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I need to do that desperately too. Actually, that's one of my, how long does it actually take? I need to get onto
it
my
actually
app
took
for
me
that.
4 hours.
Yeah, well.
And that was like literally taking off everything, washing everything. I washed all my makeup brushes. I did like deep cleaned the entire bathroom.
Yeah.
So it was incredibly satisfying. Is that my beige flag? Like, she enjoys a spring clean.
You're old when.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah, boring.
Yeah.
But really, loved it.
Oh, I love a good organisation. Like it does bring you life.
It really did.
Yeah.
And it's really sort of inspired me to now do a bit more spring cleaning and cleaning out around the house. I cleaned out our front hall cupboards the other day. I don't know, I love this time of year, refresh, reset for spring and summer. Oh, I can't wait for the nice warm weather to like continue.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Although I think this week's going to be really wet.
Oh,
anyway.
No. I want the sun more like what we've got today.
Yes, I know. It's so nice.
Yeah.
So nice.
Good. We need a much better week than last week.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Although I just feel like this term at school, it's going so quickly because it's every week there's been something on. It's just so busy.
Yeah, as I said to you this week, it's term 3. Nothing happens in term 3. Let's put it in term 3. It's always boring in term 3. Let's put it in term 3. That's the school.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah, everything goes into term 3 because there's no report writing. And
okay.
No, we never ever have anything on in term 3, so we'll put it in term 3.
Yeah.
Everything's in term 3.
Everything's in term 3.
It really is.
Although I feel like at Christmas time last year we were saying that about term 4. Term 4's busy. Like there's always the extra busy. Christmas concerts. There's all that stuff that goes with,
I think we all just need to dial it back a bit. Do we really need all that extra stuff? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, production definitely needed to occur. That's a core memory for children doing that stuff. I love it. Love how much my kid loved it. I even sat through it twice because it was so good.
Because we're gluttons for punishment.
It was good the second time. But those things need to occur, but there are certain things that we could remove, I feel. Yeah. That we don't need.
Or make them during school time.
Oh, I'd love the book pro to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The costume shit for that. Oh. I mean, I completely cheaped out this year in that I made him wear a T-shirt that said pretend I'm a frog because I couldn't can find a fucking frog costume.
I think I sent you a photo at 5 o'clock the night before. So 5 o'clock on last Sunday night, there was construction paper from one end of our dining table to the other because I had to figure out how to make a platypus bill and a platypus tail. Because Ollie wanted to go as Perry the Platypus to book day. Book week.
What's that out of?
Oh, Phineas and Ferb, which is a TV show, but there is a book.
They did make a book version of the TV show.
Yeah, I used to be so like, no, you're not going as anything from TV. It has to be from a book only. And now I'm like, I actually don't care.
Yeah. My eldest, I was like that. But then when my youngest came along, who was mad Spider-Man, had every Spider-Man costume under the sun, as you know.
And also never removed a Spider-Man costume from his body.
Oh, my God, trying to get those things washed.
Oh.
Remember that colour of
I do. Oh, I remember.
Yeah. So when we got to book weeks with him and he was like, I want to be Spider-Man, I was like, oh, fuck it.
Sure.
Like, whatever.
You do you, boo.
I'm not arguing with you. Pick my battles.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah, that died with that. So then we found Spider-Man books. It's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone can,
I feel like you can find a book for anything. Like there were kids in basketball outfits and,
previously
you can find a basketball
it's been book week / numeracy week at our school, and that's why like there was kids that I know they'd come in recycled costumes of Rubik's cubes and stuff. But this year they dropped the numeracy side of it. It didn't get mentioned.
Yeah, that really threw me because my kids have always chosen numeracy based costumes.
Yeah.
So that actually threw me because I feel like they're easier.
Oh, totally. My son just wore Steph Curry get up and number 30.
30, yeah, it's got numbers on it.
Yeah.
Last year my kids both went as an Uno card, which was easy.
Right.
Do you remember?
Yes.
That was an easy one to make, but oh. I mean, I do love it and it is fun and I love that primary schools are fun and, that's all
They
great.
need the fun, but do we need the fun at home?
Well, I didn't find it fun last Sunday at 5 o'clock making this fucking costume.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's done now and we're done for book week for another year.
But like every time you do that, you're setting yourself up for the next year that you've got to maintain that level.
Oh, mate, this was so basic.
That's why.
This could not have been more basic. I'll show it to you when we finish here. It was the worst thing I've ever made. I really probably couldn't have put any less effort into it.
Okay, cool. My less effort, pretend I'm a frog.
Yeah, but you
iron that on.
You ironed that. I mean, that's effort. That's about the effort I went to
Actually,
be honest.
as my mum would say, if I got an iron out, it's got to be serious.
Yeah, that's true.
If I get an iron out.
That's true.
My iron is
I didn't
only
even know
used
you
for
owned
that.
an iron. Oh, it's just for your iron-on decals.
I don't own an ironing board.
Okay.
Because I don't
iron.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you decrease your clothes?
Just wash well and hang out well.
But even if you hang it, like I'm
hot. I'm hot. It's fine. It's just irons itself.
It irons on your body. Hey, at least that perimenopause is doing something for you.
It's got to be useful for something.
Yeah, oh, I'm looking forward to that then.
No, you're not.
Yep. Okay, so shout outs for today. We have had 5 new Patreons join us. So if you'd like to join us, we've got a $5 bestie tier over at patreon.com/2crimebesties. So we would like to officially thank Catherine Schutz, Rachel Johnson, Soph Victory, Kim Paddock and Emma James. So thank you, ladies, so very, very much for joining us over there. In the next sort of week or so, we will be getting our first Patreon-only episode up there. So if that's something that you feel like you would like to do, please come over and join us there. We also still have our Buy Me a Coffee going if anyone wants to support us in that way as well. And we appreciate any likes, comments, all of that really goes a long way to helping getting our episodes out to more people. And we are noticing like our numbers are growing every week and it's so exciting. It's so nice that most people like what we're doing. we did get one comment this morning that, we'll just move on. Move on.
Oh, look. As I said to you, these people have too much time on their hands. Why would you bother doing that?
I also feel like any publicity is good publicity.
Well,
so if you want to comment.
It actually pushes the algorithm in the other way. Like you think you're like telling us that we suck when you're actually just making more people find us.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
But I mean, when we get like one of those out of the other 100 a phone call, 100 messages.
Yeah.
You do you, boo.
Yeah, you do. Exactly.
We're not everyone's cup of tea and we're okay with that.
Yep, totally.
Yeah.
All right, should we get into today's episode?
Let's do this. This is
a tough one because it relates to the murder of a young girl. So if that's something that you don't feel like you can listen to, please just don't. It's a tough, very, very tough one to listen to. Today we're talking about the murder of Sheree Joy Beasley. So she was born on the 25th of February 1985. So same year I was born.
Yeah.
And that, I just feel like that hits home
Yep.
so much because we grew up in the same time.
Yeah,
and
you would be the same age.
we would have been in the
It'd
same year level at school, and it's just a lot.
Should be celebrating her 40th birthday this year.
With all of her friends and her family, and she's not. Her life was really, really horrifically taken from her in 1991 when she was about 6 years of age. So we've sort of talked about how we're going to present this case because there's sort of really two key people that we need to talk about. So should we start with Sheree
and her life?
And her life?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to start.
Yeah. So Sheree, as I said, was born in 1985 to dad Anthony and mum Kerry Greenhill. She was described, so she was the first born to both of her parents, and she was described as being quite a placid and lovely baby. Mm-hmm. But I think by the time she was a toddler, she was quite the handful.
Yes. I believe they went along to a play group. Her mum took her along to at one stage and they were asked to leave because Sheree was quite rambunctious.
Can you imagine being asked to be removed? Like, oh, sorry, don't come back to play group. This is all a bit much for us. Like, oh, she must have been pretty spirited.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, look, and you look at the photos of her that you do see online, and you can see this like real cheeky but incredibly gorgeous smile that she's got. That you just go, yeah, I can just imagine her causing a few issues.
Yeah.
But in the most gorgeous of ways. As only a toddler can.
I think you've said this to me before. Like, there's those kids who are cheeky, but in a really gorgeous and beautiful way. They're not. They're not naughty because they want to be naughty. They're just like cheeky. They've got a spunky personality. And I feel like, I mean, you look at that photo of her, which is the photo I think that everyone thinks of, or even when you just Google her, it's the first photo that comes up, and that's her school photo in that blue and white checkered school dress. And the look on her face in that, I'm like, I feel like you know a lot about her just from looking at her face in that photo.
Definitely. I don't know if that's her prep or grade 1 photo kind of thing, but you can just imagine that she's that kid in their class that has a few of them in giggles at times. And that the teacher's always constantly telling to, maybe move seats so you stop talking. Or,
sit up the front.
Yeah. Which I always get reminded by a particular student of mine who turned to me many years later and said to me, or she said to me at the time, she says, doesn't matter where you're going to put me, I still talk. Yes.
I know that. Yeah. I can see that. I can hear that.
Yeah.
In 1987, Sheree's sister Crystal was born, so to the same parents, to Anthony and Kerry. And not long after her birth, her mum and dad did sort of split up. I think they were very, very young when they got together.
Kerry had Sheree at 17, so they were very young in her parents. Because
Kerry was 19, I think, when they split, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Around this time, Kerry moved to Mornington with the two girls, so with her 2-year-old and a new baby, because she had some family support there.
Yeah, but she's also got caught up in a not quite right kind of crowd, I think, in terms of where she was heading a little bit too.
Well, that's right. And so it wasn't very long after she split up with Anthony that she entered into a new relationship with a man by the name of Sheree Beasley.
Yeah, I think there was one in between. And then Shane, who...
I think it was very, very quick though. Still within a month or two they were together. They were living together then very, very quickly as well.
Yeah, and Shane had a very well-known drug addiction problem. He would take Rohypnol, heroin, which, they're just... awful.
Horrible. Like, Rohypnol's a date rape drug.
Yeah, I didn't know that people took that recreationally.
Yeah, same. I thought the same thing. I thought it was really strange.
Yeah.
But then I guess if you want to black out and just
Well, I mean, heroin, I guess,
the world
has that sort of similar effect, I guess, in that
that's
you get a
true.
high from it, but you pretty much pass
Mellow,
out.
yeah.
I believe. I'm just not from experience.
Yeah.
But that I guess that rohypnol maybe is something similar, but I don't think you'd get a high from it at all.
I don't think
thought you just
so.
got
I think
knocked
it would just make you
out and don't remember what
sleepy.
happened.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
But yeah, so he OD'd on a somewhat regular basis.
Yeah, so much so they had Narcan in the house.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Which, I mean, probably fair call because I believe it had to be used on several occasions.
Well, they did have the ambulances arrive to do that as well at times. So,
and this is in front of the two girls too. Like this was something they were exposed to a really hard life very, very early on.
Yeah, and at this time, like there was so many issues that there were people who stepped in and that the girls were removed at times for certain periods of times. They did at one stage. Sheree was put with her paternal grandfather Neil, and the younger sister Crystal was put with her maternal grandmother
Marie.
Yeah. So they were split up, but that's because they were split up themselves. The grandparents weren't together, but so the girls were separated into two different households, but obviously they were still communicating with each other and still saw each other.
Yeah.
But so they were, then they were taken back to mum, and so there was a lot of disruption, I guess, within the household.
Oh,
in that
absolutely.
respect.
So they were removed by the Department of, well, it was called DHHS back then, so the Department of Health and Human Services.
Yeah.
And I mean, thankfully they had a family members that they could go to.
Absolutely.
Neither grandparent really felt able to take on both girls. I mean, that is a huge responsibility to take that on. But as you said, at least they were still in communication. They still saw each other regularly.
So it was Kerry's parents themselves. They were very young when they fell pregnant with Kerry.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this generational thing where they had actually themselves had her very young, then split up, and then in doing that, Kerry's grandparents raised her,
yes.
Which Neil particularly has spoken about the fact that he then later had a lot of guilt around that.
He regretted it.
Yeah, that he felt like that really did impact Kerry, and then her life choices, and then ultimately potentially what happened with Sheree. So a lot of guilt there in how they've raised their children and their choices. But as young teenage parents, that's really difficult.
I believe they were only in their 30s when Sheree was born. Her grandparents were in their 30s. So it just goes to show how young this whole family was.
Yes.
So Neil did remarry a woman by the name of Denise, and they really did take the girls, along with Marie, take the girls under their wings. They were with them originally for about 8 months, and then it was deemed safe for them to return to Kerry's care, or to Kerry and Shane's care.
And then just, oh God.
This was around the time then in 1989, another daughter was born. So this was now to parents Shane and Kerry, and her name was Jacinta. And I guess they were trying to make a go of it as a family of now 5. Difficult. Anthony's parents were still involved with the girls at this point, and I believe Anthony was as well, but his parents would take the two biological granddaughters for weekends, and apparently it got to a point where they would actually take the girls from Friday night to Sunday night every single weekend because Kerry had a new baby, and it was all like, I think they could see that this wasn't the best environment for their granddaughters necessarily, and so to ease some of that strain and give them everything, but maybe some respite, hats off to them for doing that, because from all accounts they were very, very loving and caring grandparents, and the fact that they were willing to do that, I think shows a lot.
Absolutely.
So in February of 1990, Shane Jr. was born, and apparently Sheree was the most doting young mother.
Well, I think in many ways Sheree was older than her 6 years, and whether that was, a lot of that due to the fact that she wasn't mothered in that, in the way she had to step up and do things. She would get up and make her own breakfast. She would pack her own lunch boxes for school. All those sorts of things.
Can we just talk about that for a second? Because I find that the telling of that,
the adultification of a child, is really,
I find that really uncomfortable, because I was listening to an interview with Kerry where she talked about, she wanted to make her own lunchbox, and she would make her lunchboxes, and she had to learn really quickly that she couldn't just make all 5 lunchboxes at the start of the week because her sandwich would be stale by the end of the week. I'm like, why does a fucking 6-year-old have to learn that? Like, it's too much.
Yep.
You and I were talking with our friend this morning about kids becoming too old too soon.
Yeah.
This is a primo example of that. But she obviously, as in Sheree, obviously felt like she had to do that.
Yeah.
Like, what other 6-year-olds doing that?
Absolutely.
No.
It's just,
She's, as you said, it is the parentification of a young child.
Yeah.
And that really does not sit comfortably with me.
No. So as much as, it sounds lovely that she really cared for her new sibling, it's also, I think, her just needing someone in the household to be responsible, and that became almost a 5-year-old's responsibility.
Yeah, so this is what actually gets me. When Shane was 10 weeks old, Sheree went to wake him up because it was 8 a.m. and he normally wakes at 6 a.m. for a bottle, and Mum and Dad were still asleep. I mean, I get it, with a 10-week-old, you're probably exhausted, but still, it's not Sheree's responsibility. But anyway, Sheree's gone in to check on him, and she couldn't wake him up. So she's run into her mum and stepdad's room and raised the alarm. And what actually eventuated was the fact that Shane had died of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, or what used to be known as cot death. And, oh, my God.
The fact that, she was the one who found him is really distressing. I really find that.
Did you hear about her reaction to that? She basically, I mean, she wouldn't have, at 5, she wouldn't have been able to process that, but she knew it was something so bad that she ran out of the house and was like screaming up and down the road up and down the street. Just, she probably didn't know what to do. Like, she knew it was like this big, overwhelming, horrible thing. But as a 5-year-old, what do you do? Oh my God.
Just my heart breaks for her with that. I mean, that's awful. But then to follow on from that, within weeks of that occurring, which I don't know if this was a good or a bad thing, that like Shane Beasley unfortunately OD'd and he passed away. So, I mean, to layer that awful situation with then the death of a step parent, oh my God,
who
that
she was
kid
living with pretty much full time at that
time. I mean, that she had, in her very minimal amount of time on this planet, I mean, she had been through more than anyone should. That's just,
let alone a child should.
Yeah.
I feel for Kerry in this too. I mean, she's lost a child. She's then lost her partner.
Yeah.
Whether or not that relationship was good or bad is kind of irrelevant because just having that loss and that trauma in your life.
Yeah. Just awful.
Kerry did move on pretty quickly though. She met a man by the name of Steve Ledlow in mid-1990. So he died in Feb of 1990, as in Shane died in Feb. She was then living with Steve by mid-1990.
Yeah.
And they actually decided to all move to a house in Rosebud together.
Which I think is where his parents lived as well in the area. So they then had some family-in-law close by to help out and stuff too.
Yeah. So that kind of brings us to how the family came to be in Rosebud.
Yeah.
So Sheree moved to started at Rosebud Primary School then.
Yeah, so I think she actually did her prep year at a different school.
I think somewhere in Mornington.
Yeah, and then Rosebud she moved to for grade 1.
Yeah.
So she'd been there for 6 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave Sheree's story there for now. We're now going to talk about the man who murdered her. And we'll get to the way that came about in a minute, but we'll go into some of his backstory because I found researching this so fascinating. So fascinating.
Yep.
So she was, kidnapped, raped and murdered by a man by the name of Robert Arthur Selby Lowe.
And as we said before, not that Rob Lowe. At all.
Oh, my God. Speaking of swoony, oh, my God, St. Elmo's Fire.
Oh,
my God.
Yeah, but yeah, this guy is no Rob Lowe.
Oh God, no, he's the biggest piece
and that's why
of shit.
he's going to be Robert Lowe during talking about this.
Oh yeah, Robert Lowe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Lowe. There is no mistaking him for...
Nope. Lowe suits him. Low life.
As low as they go.
Yeah.
As low as they go.
Robert Lowe was born in England in the 1937 he was born. Mm. He was the middle child to a fairly well-to-do, wealthy family.
Very much so.
Yeah, so the reason he has the name Selby in his name is due to his mother. His mother's maiden name was Selby, and that's kind of where not all, but a fairly good portion of the wealth, etc., comes from. The connections, probably more so than even the money side of it.
Yeah.
There's so with the Selby name comes lots and lots of high-level, interesting people. And when one of these in particular people that stands out that what comes along was who was named as Robert's godfather, who and I've got his name written down somewhere, but he ended up being he was Uncle Ronnie. He was known as Ronnie Selby Wright. He was a clergyman. He'd been in the war. I think he's been 2 wars, but he
served in both world wars. Yep.
So he did eventually become then the chaplain to the Queen of England. So, I mean, pretty connected and, up there in very
well
much
respected family.
Yeah.
Certainly.
However, there was, and I couldn't find actual evidence of this, but there's been talk of potentially this man may have not done the right thing.
No. So you're right. There is nothing out there to say. And I think people would wanted Robert to maybe confess or give reason, or I don't know, just tell his story. They were hoping he would do that before he died, and that this would all come out, but it didn't.
No.
The inference is that Uncle Ronnie molested him.
Yeah.
From when he was a very young child. By all accounts, Uncle Ronnie did take a particular shining to Robert in particular. So, as you said, Robert was the middle of 3 brothers. There was Graham, then Robert, then Rick. And Graham was an incredibly accomplished person and is to this day.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually don't know if he's deceased.
No, he's not alive anymore. No.
Okay.
He died. In fact, they all died. All 3 brothers died within a fairly short space of each other.
I knew Rick and Robert died in the same year.
Yeah. Well, then I think only weeks after.
Oh, right.
Graham died maybe weeks after Robert. Like it was that. Yeah.
Okay. But he was like the golden haired child. He
Very
could do no
much so.
wrong. He was very sporty. He was incredibly academic. He was very handsome. Everyone liked him. Everyone wanted to be him, wanted to be friends with him. And he really used the connections of his family to go all the way. He really took advantage of that because not only was the mum part of this sort of Selby family, which is obviously very, very well regarded in Britain, but the dad, whose name was Eric, he was also his family owned a department store, and so they were very wealthy. So his side of things brought a lot of wealth to this family unit. So they were very well to do and wanted for nothing. It's very interesting. I think their mum was a very interesting person.
Yes, very interesting.
Because Dad Eric went to war, and he was like what was he in the war? He held some kind of officer kind of position. I think he was quite high up in the army,
again, his connections and things like
that.
That's it.
Yeah. But Mum sent the boys all off to boarding school at about 8 years of age.
Oh, no, younger.
Younger?
Yeah, younger. Yeah.
Okay, so she sent them off young. Okay, I'm just going to say what everyone thinks happened. She has met this bloke who's a doctor.
Yep.
While Eric's off at war.
It was fairly well known that she was having this affair whilst he was off at war.
Yep. Although she denied it.
Yeah, but it can and then continued.
I mean, people know. Yeah. And so they were carrying on, and he was like the Surgeon General of something.
He was like the police doctor.
That's it. Yes. Yes. He was like, so that's why he didn't have to go off to war.
Yeah.
So they're back here having, friendly fun times. And Eric comes back from war.
Yeah.
And literally, was it like within 2 weeks later, he dies under very suspicious circumstances.
Supposedly from a brain tumour.
Well, that was what was on
the death certificate.
But
which
who wrote
was
his death certificate, Meg?
Bye. Yeah. So her lover was the doctor that did like the autopsy and signed off on the death certificate. There's an inference here that potentially she offed him.
Or they offed him.
Like, and that they were both in this. And then so with that information, so at 8 years of age, there's poor, at this point I would say poor, poor Robert, off at boarding school at the age of 8, so he's in class and he gets called into the principal's office. Mind you, this principal had also been diddling with him as well, which just, holy crap.
I mean, it goes into that whole boarding school. Anyway, yuck, poor kids.
So the 8-year-old gets brought into the office with the principal, who says to him, so your father has just died. Take your moment and off you go back to class. I mean, could you get more British? Could
you get more fucked up? I mean,
no emotion.
You know what that actually reminds me of? Have you read Prince Harry's memoir?
I haven't.
Okay. He talks about the moment that he got told that Diana had died.
Right.
And Prince Charles at the time, he came into their room and told them. But then they were kind of like left to themselves.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, fuck me, that would be the most horrific. And as a child, I just, oh my God,
No.
How do you even process that, let alone him then being told, okay, you need to go back to class now? Yeah. Like it was nothing. I don't know.
Well, this poor 8-year-old, he's finally got his dad back from war and then he's dead. He was supposed to, I don't know, oh, God. But so, he's gone back to class after hearing this and just been told to carry on. But this information around his dad's death and the fact that potentially his mum and partner had something to do with it was a little bit it was around. It was known kind of thing. That this apparently really ate away at him, that he became very, very distrusting of police because he believed they were also involved in this cover-up, which
Fair.
Yep. To a point where he actually ran over a police officer at one stage when he was in his early teens. So this became a behaviour issue then from this point on, from when this developed. And, he was quite the troubled teen, and he ran over a police officer, which he kind of dodged then because of his connections of getting any conviction. That was all that stopped him from
6 months of community service or something.
Wasn't it? It wasn't community service.
No,
what did he get? Oh my God.
There was some very minor consequence. Minor though.
Oh, it was part of part of it, there was a deal of what he had to do.
Yeah.
Oh my God, where did I write that down?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought.
No.
But so I just feel like all of that unresolved trauma of this kid, okay, I get that, his brothers experienced the same trauma. They didn't then go on to perpetrate anything quite like he did, but you've just got to think this was that event that started this whole thing in motion, really.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not only that, his sexual assaults as well. He had so much trauma in his childhood that was completely unresolved.
Yeah.
Never dealt with. He never got help for any of it. And we will be discussing soon what ended up coming of it. And it's... I mean, I feel like there's a systemic failure here.
These people don't come from nowhere. I guess they're not just born to be this, and they are on this planet. There are things that happen to these people that create them. I guess what we're trying to say is there's ways of stopping these people to become like this. I guess we as a society have, there's things that are to be answered in terms of stepping into these and stopping it before it gets to a point of where a child is being murdered. But he did what he did, and he's,
also a fucking piece of shit.
Absolutely. But, there's been other pieces of shit in his life.
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There was definitely consequences to that, but I cannot think.
Anyway, it's fine. If we come across it, we'll come back to it.
But yeah.
Look, it wasn't in any way measurable to the crime. Like, he definitely got off easy.
Yes.
They basically then decided as a family, I think it was because, I mean, there was definitely suspicion that, you know, some shady shit had gone down here. And as a family, they decided to move to New Zealand.
Yeah, well, he'd already been in trouble, obviously, with the law in terms of that, of what we just discussed, but also there'd already started being some other incidences of him flashing himself at people. So I think
That was when he was at boarding school, I believe.
Yeah, it started pretty young.
Yeah.
But there was all sorts of behaviours from him that were escalating already.
Yeah.
So the idea was to move to New Zealand, I think, to really like go, right, let's separate ourselves from what's gone on here.
I think it was more the mum and now new stepdad that was like, fuck, well, everyone thinks we killed this guy, so let's get the fuck out of here. When no one knows us and, you know, thinks that we're all just one big happy family. Although, so they did move to Wellington in New Zealand and what's the surgeon bloke's name? I can't remember.
I didn't actually read it.
He bought a practice in Wellington and established a GP type practice there. And when they moved over, Robert actually moved into a boarding house in Wellington, so still close to his mum and stepdad, but didn't live with them. Now, he started to get into a fuckload of trouble pretty much from as soon as they landed there.
Yeah.
He would loiter around the women's toilets and toilet blocks. He would expose himself, fondle himself in front of women. He would just look at them and put his hands down his pants and have a play around.
Consistently being pulled into police stations and being questioned over things and interviewed. And he was convicted in
1961.
Yep. And again in 1964.
Yeah.
He was, for various things. But, I mean, in between
mostly
those.
it was indecent exposure. So he progressed from sort of fondling himself to then exposing himself to women and actually to boys too.
Yes.
It wasn't just women and young girls. It was actually to boys as well. He
spent about 6 months in jail from about the age of 22.
So, like, that obviously didn't deter him because, like, a couple of years later, he's back convicted of doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
He also got into a bit of petty theft around that time as well. So he was starting to steal things and just a real fucking degenerate.
Yeah, and lying. His lying was getting really out of hand. Yeah.
He was embarrassing the family because, I mean, you know, the stepdad is this now prominent GP in the area and owned the medical practice. It was, you know, a fairly small community and it got out obviously that he was convicted and all of this stuff. So they actually shipped him off to Melbourne in 1967.
Yeah.
They didn't want a bar of him anymore. They just wanted him to fuck off and get away.
Yeah.
And so he lived, again, he came to Melbourne, lived in boarding houses. He lived like a bit of a semi-nomadic kind of lifestyle. He really didn't have a base and he was just a weird fucking bloke. But he also I think religion was always in the background of their lives given the connection with the mum.
Yeah.
But once he moved to Melbourne, he really started to get back into his religion. And around this time he decided to join a church and he went and I believe the day that he joined this church was Christmas Day. Is that right? Or the first thing he went to was on Christmas Day for this church. Right. And at this function, he met his then, soon to be wife.
Yeah.
She was a young, what was her name? Jennifer.
Lorraine.
Oh my God, where did I get Jennifer from? I just had a total mental blank then. He met Lorraine. Now, Lorraine was a very naive.
Doesn't even cover it.
Yeah,
you know,
she fully admits herself. She led an incredibly sheltered life.
Yeah.
So much so that she was in a very devout sect of this Christian
exclusive brethren.
Yeah. And so much so that her parents would not even let them have the blinds to the front of their house open ever because that was too worldly.
Too much of the outside world.
You couldn't actually, that was too much. You couldn't see other people. They didn't watch TV. They had no exposure to the outside world. It was very
Amish almost.
Yeah, I think
style
she describes it like that.
Yeah, it's very very olden daytime, like kind of you keep to yourself, you don't go out into the world. Like it's they were very much had their teachings. There's nothing outside of that.
Yeah, all of their education was done within this sect.
Yeah,
and so so she fully admits that she was very naive.
Yeah,
and.
They met when she was, I think, 32.
32, yeah. He was 35.
Yeah, and so she wasn't young in that world of, in that time of sort of, meeting someone and getting married.
That actually makes me think, like, was she really desperate and
she literally had gone to church that day and had prayed to meet the man of her dreams, she just wanted to get married. It's all she wanted in life was just have that. And have children, and so she literally that day, I believe, or the following day after doing that prayer, then met unfortunately Robert, and so she basically believed that this was God sending him to her
now,
and that he was the answer to her
couple
prayers.
Of things there. I feel like at 32, given where they were at, as in this sect. And probably most of her friends got married before they were 18.
Yep.
She probably would have prayed for that every day for years and years, and just this happened to come and, oh, my God, my prayers have been answered. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that just goes to show my stance on this stuff. But I think that goes to show her mindset at the time.
Yes.
She fully surrendered to that.
Yeah.
And the fact that God had given her this man.
Yeah.
Who was, I mean, and now from everyone's account of him at the time, he was nice.
Yeah.
He was friendly.
He did have an outward appearance of somewhat normal person. He could control himself to that level to keep himself together. I mean, he held down a job at, he would change jobs regularly for various reasons that we can get to. But, he held a decent job and all those sorts of things. So
he was described as
he would always get another job easily.
Yeah. I feel like in his line of work as well. So he ended up getting a job as like a travelling salesman.
And he was bloody good at it, apparently.
Apparently so, because he was able to perpetrate all these crimes and also be very successful at his job all at the same time. Yeah. So, yes, I think you're right.
He had to knock on less doors than, the
Someone
other bloke
else.
to earn as much money sort of stuff. He was good at it. He had the gift of the gab and could, manipulate people, I think. And talk his way into being, quite a nice person.
Yeah.
Make them believe that anyway.
Yeah.
Because he was
because people described him as mild-mannered, and then you look at what comes after and you think, fucking hell.
No.
It was definitely a facade.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and apparently too, so they got married in 1972, but just prior to them becoming engaged, he actually broke it off with Lorraine. So I feel like he was not really into this, but knew that society kind of this is what you need to do. So Lorraine was devastated that they were breaking up, because I think she had put all of her, eggs in one basket here of like, that this is the man that I'm going to marry now because I've met him and this is how it's got to be. So she was pretty devastated when he called it off and was, why would you do that? And they ended up getting back together, and I believe like within a month of that they were then engaged.
Yeah.
So, I mean, got to wonder what was going through his head.
Well, I think he needed a beard, essentially. He needed somebody
I think he worked
to
out
hide
that,
behind, or a marriage and what would then become a family.
Yes.
To hide behind so that he could continue acting on all of the things he was acting on.
Unbeknownst to Lorraine, this whole time whilst they're dating and everything, all these things, he's continuously being pulled into police stations and being interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's spending a considerable amount of his time, as you said, like he's meant to be out doing the sales job. Not only is he finding then time to do these acts, but he's also going to court, going to police interviews regularly. Like he was fitting all of that into his time. Lorraine didn't know that was going on. And I do believe that. I think he kept it from her entirely.
Yep.
He was that good at this and she was that naive that it could be done. She didn't realise any of this was going on at that point.
Not at that point. So the things that he was doing that were getting him pulled in was more of this. He would hang around schools and expose himself to students at school gates.
Yeah.
That was sort of further, like, as the behaviour was escalating.
There was one where it was explained that there was 2 girls, I think, that they'd gone to the police on this and they were going to charge him. And so the way they ended up not dropping the charges because what he'd said to the police, this is a completely, like, it's just, no, it was just a joke. It didn't actually happen like the girls say it did. I had a banana and I was being funny with the banana, right? His being funny with the banana was that he had it down his Speedos, walking around a beach, walking around and asking people to touch the banana in his Speedos.
Well, that's a sexual assault.
So the police misunderstood his statement of saying this is where he used his lie. He lied without lying.
Yeah.
As in he was telling his truth. No, I was just making a joke with a banana and it's been taken out of like the wrong way by the girls and I apologise for that. But that's not actually what was happening. So the cops have gone, sorry, mate, we'll drop this,
Maybe don't put a banana down your
Well, he never said, I put the banana down my pants. The girls, what they saw was a man with a banana down his bloody Speedos going, touch my banana.
Oh, what a fucking disgusting pig.
He's gross. Absolutely gross.
Oh.
Yeah. So should we maybe enter here and say, like, with all these convictions, or not necessarily convictions even, but with all this going on that he was going to court and defending these things, part of that court process, the courts insisted that he would need like reports done on him, like psychological assessments and things. So he was sent off to a psychotherapist to have, initially a report done for the court. And the person that he was sent off to was this Margaret Hobbs. So Margaret Hobbs she originally started out as a parole officer and probation officer and then moved into private practice. And around the courts, she actually was known as the Queen of the Flashes.
Yeah, because that's what she did.
That's what she did was that she did these reports on these, rapists, flashers, exhibitionists,
that was her specialty.
That was her specialty.
Yeah.
So, they kind of, joked around about it in the courts of, like, that's who she was. But, it is what she would do. But, what a heavy, stuff to get into with people. So she would literally do these reports for the courts and also do sessions with perpetrators. So she was very highly experienced in this.
She was very experienced, but she had no formal qualifications.
What?
Yep.
I did not know that.
She didn't have formal qualifications.
I just assumed she's a psychologist. She's supposed to have done
I don't
degree.
Think so. I don't think so.
Everywhere I just read that she was a psychologist. I never looked up her.
She's a psychotherapist, which isn't a psychologist.
You're right. I did read psychotherapist. And I just continuously assumed that I never looked up her credentials because
she was very, very experienced.
Yeah.
And she was very good at what she did.
Yeah.
And she was able to rehabilitate a lot of flashes, and she was.
Can they be? Can they really be?
I don't know, but the way, whatever her methodology was, like in the eyes of the court, it worked. Like
look, the reports I've read of hers, I think she was very good at what she did in her analysis of things. Yeah. And she read this guy spot on.
Oh, yeah. Like, she was a very intuitive person, I'm sure.
Wow. Okay. I did not know she didn't have the formal qualifications. Yep. Wow.
Yep.
Okay. That's interesting. So she was known by this sort of term in the courts, and he went along for his report. She wrote a report, went to the court, whatever, and the court came back and said, well, we think you should have ongoing sessions after this. And so that's all he kind of got from that. He got no conviction. It was just, you should have further therapy. So he started seeing her regularly. From the get-go, Margaret did not like Robert. He just creeped her out.
Yeah.
She
mentioned, so she wrote most of a book about this and about meeting Robert, in her practice and all of that and everything that came after it.
Yeah.
And she mentions in that book that even though the types of men that she was dealing with, they were bad, they were not nice people, generally speaking, she was always able to find something about them that sort of endeared them to her and that she liked.
Yeah.
She never found that with Robert.
No.
So you know, she was obviously very open to finding it if it was there. She didn't find it with him. But he was very honest with her.
She had to ask the right questions.
But he then told her. He never told anyone.
No, but she had to find ways to do it. Yeah. She was
clever enough.
She was very clever to do that. She would word things very carefully, and she would ask a question and go and get an answer and go, I don't trust his answer. And then would come at it from very varying different angles to actually get to the truth, the
bottom of it.
Like,
yeah.
Oh God! Like, for example, like I think with this situation, she said like, "Do you have a blue car?" And he said no.
No, he
didn't have a blue car.
She said to him, "Do you own a blue car?"
Yeah, and he said no. So then she said to him, "Do you drive a blue car?" Oh yes.
Yeah.
From my job, I have I use the boss's car sometimes, and it happens to be a blue car.
Yeah.
So that's just how she worked out that she'd need to ask from another angle.
Yeah. I know. Such a piece.
And in his mind, I never lied to you. You just didn't ask me the right question.
Well, he didn't lie. Guess what? He didn't own a blue car.
Yeah. Nah. Oh my God. Yes. So shall we go back now to poor Sheree?
Yeah.
We covered all we need to there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah?
Yep. So on the day of Sheree's disappearance, I suppose.
Yeah.
Sheree, look, I think it's probably also worth saying Sheree was given a lot of independence and freedom
as we're sort of
as
saying
a 6-year-old.
She was very independent.
Very independent.
Yeah.
And she had a pink bike and a pink bike helmet, and she would ride around the streets of Rosebud with literally no tether. You know, she would go on her own quite often. One of her teachers remarked one day she saw Sheree up at the school after hours. It was actually getting dark, and her teacher said to her, "You need to go home. It's nearly dark. This is dangerous. You can't be here."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, no, my mum doesn't mind. She just lets me be out until I need to be out." And the teacher was like, no, you need to go home. This is really unsafe. You have to go home now.
Yeah.
You know, so there wasn't a lot of checks and balances there going on for Sheree. She certainly did her own thing. On this particular day, I think she was quite bored. And so she was looking for things to do. She'd gone for a bike ride up to the local mini golf to see if it was open because she wanted to have a quick round of mini golf. Can you even imagine a 6-year-old doing that? Like, just go, I'll get on my bike, off my go and play mini golf, and then I don't know what else.
I think this also speaks to how well she was known around the neighbourhood though for this, because I can't imagine a 6-year-old coming up to the counter and saying, "One, please," you know, and them just going, "Oh yeah, sure." Like to me, you'd go, "Well, where's your mum and dad?" Like, you know.
Apparently, she was known to everyone as the kid on the pink bike. She was out, and people did kind of keep an eye out for her because I think they knew that she wasn't necessarily always being watched by a parental figure.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's, gone to the mini golf. It's shut. She's gone back home. She's gotten a bit bored and restless there. She's gone for a bike ride. She's come back home. And then her mum says to her, "Can you go down to the milk bar?" So like the local corner store, "and buy me." Oh, I've written down what she asked for because it actually reminded me of my childhood.
There was a pasty and milk, I think, and something else.
Something else. And then a packet of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a very good story about this. Just a personal anecdote. When we were kids, my mum and dad smoked when we were younger. And Mum would pull up to the milk bar, give us however much a packet of cigarettes cost in the 80s. I don't know how much.
$5 if probably. That. Now,
and
30.
Then she'd be like, "Can you go in and get me a packet of the PJ Super Miles, the Peter Jackson Super Miles? If they ask anything, just tell them I'll wave." So we'd go in and be like, "Oh, can we please have a packet of the Peter Jackson Super Miles?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, where's your mum?" "Oh, she's out in the car over there." Mum would wave.
Lena
and then
just wave.
They would sell us the cigarettes.
Oh my God. Oh, that's crazy.
You just like that. Obviously,
never happened today.
I mean, not many people smoke these days, or not many people in my circle. In fact, I don't actually know anyone who smokes.
I know some people who vape.
Vaping's gross too.
Yeah, totally.
So anyway, yes, I can totally imagine this would happen. I mean, Sheree and I were born in the same year. Her mum and my mum both wanted us to grab her some cigarettes. So sent her down the milk bar to do that errand. And Kerry says she just wishes she had have known that was, the last time she was going to see Sheree, because what know happened is Sheree's ridden her bike, or not quite gotten to the milk bar. So the next thing we sort of know in all of this is that her bike's out the front or not far from the milk bar. It's actually near a phone box. And Sheree's nowhere to be found. Now, a neighbour who used to keep a pretty keen eye on Sheree recognised that her bike was there and that Sheree wasn't, and that was really unusual. And so she actually went and knocked on Kerry's door and was like, I've just seen Sheree's bike. I can't see her anywhere around. You know, it really raised alarm bells with her. And then Kerry immediately called the police. She's like, that's not right. I've sent her. She should have been back. Because I think Kerry had actually said to Stephen.
He went out and started looking around.
Yeah, because she wasn't back in the 15 minutes they thought she'd be back in, or 10 minutes they thought she'd be back in. And so she was starting to get worried. Then obviously this neighbour has found the bike, gone to her, and then Kerry's called the police. Right. So.
Yeah. So in that, so the police, when they arrive on the scene, and they knew a little bit about this family.
Well, they were known to the police.
Yeah. So they immediately were like, has something, to test out the family to see if they knew some more than they were letting on. Like, so because obviously when children go missing, first thought is maybe someone known to her.
Yeah.
So to test this out, the police actually on that first day, they actually put a little bug in the house and they left them with a form to fill out and said to them, oh, there's a compensation for crime form to fill out. See you later. And they've left. And look, the family passed with flying colours in terms of whether they had any involvement, because they were furious with the police for doing this, and not knowing what they had done entirely, but saying like they are on this recording of just saying, how dare they, give us this form to be like, we don't want money, we want her. Why are they not looking for her?
Yeah, why have they given us this?
Why would they give us this? So exactly how they should have responded to that form, and how the police would expect someone to in that moment. So they had done an asshole act, but knowingly.
Well, they needed, I guess, a quick way to eliminate.
So that eliminated. They knew they weren't looking at anyone internally who had been at the house that day of doing something wrong. So that was that. They knew immediately then they were really looking for a missing child.
I think they also around that, like very early on, I'm talking in the first hours of being notified, they also looked to her birth father and the birth father's family, and they were very quickly alibied and completely eliminated. Like they know that they were not suspects at all.
Yeah, so that was they were very good at, I think, as much as it sounds like an asshole thing to do, as I say, but like it eliminated all those family people so they could actually concentrate on the real crime at hand. So I do think that was okay to do in that moment, as much as it would have been hurtful. So they've got onto this very quickly. So obviously it got out to media as well very quickly that this little girl was missing. So, oh God.
I think it went on the news that night. So she went missing somewhere around 1:40 p.m.
Yeah.
And it was on the 5 o'clock news that night. They put like just a little bulletin out.
Yeah.
By the next day, they actually had Kerry basically making a plea on the news.
Yeah.
For any information, anybody who's got Sheree to please just keep her safe and just drop her at the nearest police station.
Yeah.
No questions will be asked, sort of thing. So, the police acted very, very swiftly, did all of the right things very early on. But
although there was one little bit of information that was miscommunicated somewhere along the line, because it did stop people from coming forward sooner. Unfortunately, there was a miscommunication of the helmet.
Yeah.
So people, the way that it was portrayed on the media was as if her bike and her helmet had been found together and to the side of the road. So therefore, some people who actually did see something saw a child who looked distressed in a blue car, but the child was wearing a pink helmet. So they sort of put it to the side, which I don't think I would have. I think I still would have said something, but no. They were like, oh, no, it can't be her because her helmet was already found.
So this actually gets me as well. These people get me because so they say, so this was the mum and daughter, wasn't it? And the daughter was playing out the front with some friends and they saw her. So this was Sue Marks was the mum's name.
Yep.
Danielle was the daughter's name. What she says is that she saw, what we now know was Sheree in the car, distressed. Her face was up against the window. It looked like she was kneeling in the front seat.
Yeah.
distraught. And when she saw Sue, she actually said, "Help, help."
Yeah.
And Sue they didn't call the police.
Well, she basically like, I think she's in the car with like a grandfather. We've all been there, like with a kid who's, cracked it for whatever reason. I'm like,
I put myself in her shoes though, and I think,
especially then when something came on the news that night of a little girl who was riding a bike.
Yep.
And what little girl wears a helmet while she's in the car?
Exactly.
I think enough of it would have come together to go, I have to say something.
Yep.
I'd rather be wrong.
Yep.
I'd rather be wrong.
Yep.
Yeah, I do find that interesting.
And then also, like, I feel like I would take down the number plate. If I saw that.
Yeah, I'd take note.
I'd take the number
Mental
plate
note
down.
at least.
Or the make and model of the car, something. Because to me, that seems so sus.
Yes.
And if you see something, say something. We've said that before.
Yeah, because they're not the only one. There was another witness that came forward.
He was a young boy, though. The other witness who came
there was a
forward.
woman who came forward as well.
Oh, what was her account?
So she didn't come forward until 1993.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And the way she came forward was that she was just happened to be at a bingo game, right, and sitting next to a police officer's wife.
Right.
And something came up within that context that she was like, oh, yeah, I once saw this and saw a little girl in a car, and she goes, I think you need to speak to my husband. Like, you need to go down to the police station and contact him and have a chat.
Was she the one who still saw the wheel of Sheree's bike spinning?
No, that's another one.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because at least they came forward relatively quickly.
Yeah, okay.
But this one took her years to come forward, and only because she was pushed by a police officer's wife who said, no, you need to speak up. And she had a very detailed description. She was able to give a confit picture that matched Robert Lowe to the dot, which is why they actually ended up being able to go and charge him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But she was only pushed at the last minute of in the years later to do that. So I just don't know how people can hang on to this information and not come forward. Crazy. But yeah, so and there were more other witnesses on the day. Now this one breaks me a little bit. They were the one. They actually found her bike on the middle of the road. So when the neighbour found the bike, it was up against like a tree or something.
It was up against a phone box.
Yeah, phone box. Yeah. So, but what had actually happened was a woman had been driving down the road, and the bike was like on the road. So she stopped, grabbed the bike, and obviously, kids playing. This has happened, and she's pulled the bike and put it against the phone booth. In recalling that later, they both saw this, who were in the car that day. They've realised that when they got there, the bike front wheel on the bike was still rolling, was still moving, which suggests that it was only seconds from her exiting from that bike and the bike falling over and that wheel spinning and leaving and her coming along.
Yeah.
So if they had driven along like a minute earlier, potentially they would have seen the event of her at least being dragged into a car to then maybe intervene, at least call the cops then and there.
Yeah.
Oh, who knows? But that's awful.
Horrible.
Yeah. But yeah, there's one more witness which we can get into then of
the little boy,
the
young boy. So her schoolmate actually.
Yeah.
So he obviously recognised Sheree for being Sheree, and he actually saw this man physically pick her up off her bike and shove
the two of them had been playing together.
Yeah, he used the word. It wasn't shoved in the car. It was like the way he described it. I'm like, forced her in the car. Like it was completely against her will. But I mean, the trauma for that little boy, he didn't really know what he'd just seen either.
It was awful that so the poor kid, he'd done the wrong thing and he was meant to be at home for the day.
Yep.
And so he didn't come forward and he didn't say anything.
He thought he'd get into trouble.
He thought he'd get into trouble for not being at home where he was supposed to be.
But I can imagine Sheree probably went around then. She was like, come on, we're going for a bike ride. Get out. Let's go.
Let's go. So the cops had done the right thing, which was great. They'd actually gone to the primary school and had a chat to the kids, and said, anyone seen Sheree on the day, around the neighbourhood. And it was actually the older sibling of this little boy who came forward to the police and said to them, look, my little brother said he saw Sheree on that day. And they were like, and so when they first approached him, he was like, nope, I don't know anything. Nope, nope, nope. And then eventually they got out of him that, he had seen Sheree.
We'll talk to your mum and dad. You won't be in trouble.
Yeah. And he then was able to give a description of the fact that, it was a blue car, an older man. He gave a decent enough description for them to be able to put a few things together of what had occurred.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, he obviously took time to get to him and find him as a witness as well. So all those things, I don't know, other than maybe them being able to intercept the actual event of him taking her.
I feel like for me the biggest one is the mum and daughter who saw her in the car.
But even at that point, even like, I don't know how.
But if they had have called 000 and said, I've just seen a distressed kid in a car.
Yeah.
This is the number plate. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Don't know how quickly he would have done what he did.
Well, we don't really know the exact timeline of it, do we?
I don't know. I think it was quick.
It was pretty quick. I mean, it happened that day.
Yeah.
So this all took place on the 29th of June in 1991.
Well, he was home. He very much later, he confessed to being home by about 4:30, I think. So
yeah, around that. So and this happened. He kidnapped her at 1:40. So within 3 hours, he'd done what he did. Do we want to get into that, or I think we mentioned before that she was raped, and murdered. So her body was found. How many days later?
Oh, it was a long time. It was September 24th.
Yeah, so it was months later,
when
and
her body was
in
found.
A very, very advanced state of decomposition. She was found in a stormwater drain, by some people who were going horseback riding, and she was in such a terrible state of decomposition that she wasn't visually identifiable. It took them a lot to try and actually identify her through DNA. And it also meant that they were unable to get an actual cause of death. So they weren't able to conduct an autopsy because there wasn't enough of her remains to be able to do that.
He disposed of her body in a most horrific way. The stormwater drain pipe was only 30 centimetres in diameter. So, she was a small child, but still to put her in there is absolutely disgusting.
She was unclothed from the waist below. She was just wearing a singlet and a T-shirt, but they did find the other clothes because when she went missing, she was wearing a purple tracksuit and some black runners, and they did find, I believe, part of the purple tracksuit.
Because he did dispose of much of her clothing because it had semen, etc., all over it.
They never found her underwear,
no.
And I believe they never found the pant bottoms.
Yeah.
And I don't think they found her shoes either. I don't remember reading that.
I don't remember shoes being found, no.
Yeah, but there was enough clothing around her to kind of suggest that the remains that they found did belong to her.
Yeah.
It took them a while to then forensically identify her, but it was eventually found that it was the remains of poor little Sheree.
Yeah. Oh, so while all this is going on of them trying to find her, etc., obviously the police are working incredibly hard at trying to identify suspects.
Yeah.
You just gave me a horrific stat just before we started, which blows my mind. And obviously the police probably checked out all of that.
I believe so. So what I was saying to you is in the 20-kilometre radius of where she lived, there was something like 450 known sex offenders. Oh. I believe they narrowed it down to 40 that they really looked into. Okay. I'm not quite sure how they narrowed it down. I'm not sure. But they very much looked into 40 of those people. You just don't know who you live next door to.
You really don't. And I know over the years people have, tried to push for these sorts of lists to be made public. I understand why they're not, but I also think, fuck you, they should be.
Oh, you have no rights. If you're doing that to a child,
no.
Gross. No.
Yeah. So in amongst all of this, obviously in Robert Lowe's life, he was still attending, he had actually had a break from seeing Margaret, and he hadn't been seeing her for a while.
Because she'd start to call him on stuff. He didn't like that, so he'd retreat.
But he all of a sudden appeared again at her door at this time.
Oh, can I just say just really quickly, the day that that Sheree went missing, there was a radio bulletin put out, and Margaret was actually driving at the time, and she heard this radio announcement about there's a missing girl in the Rosebud area. If anyone knows something, please call the police. And her immediate thought when she heard that, oh, that's Robert. Robert's done that.
So because she knew that Robert Lowe had a holiday home in Rosebud.
Yep.
So I guess we should say the area of Rosebud on the peninsula there, it's especially back in the early 90s. I mean, not a hell of a lot of people lived in Rosebud. It was a holiday town. Now it's far more. Yeah, but it's well known for being, very sleepy, coastal town.
Especially in June, in the middle of winter.
Absolutely. So the population in that Mornington Peninsula area like quadruples over summer sort of stuff. It's insane, even to this day, but more so even back then. So during June, I mean, her local primary school would have been a very small primary school. There probably was only one grade per year level, dare say. Well, it's not an overly populated area in that sense. It's overpopulated in summer, but not in June. Yeah. No. So, so he had a holiday house down in Rosebud. So that kind of, I think, really red flagged for her of like a connection between the two, just location wise, but also then the MO of what had occurred.
He actually lived in Glenwaverley with his family. Yes. So it's about an hour from Rosebud. Just so you've got a bit of context in terms of timings and space.
Yeah. So she connected already on it in that sense. And then the next thing, he does turn up to her office to start sessions again. And he started saying a few things that she was like, whoa, you're hinting at something. So she started asking questions about, like, because they'd already released in the media what colour the car was and all those sorts of things. So she did ask him questions around the car, like we mentioned earlier, and so the fact that he was driving around in a blue Corolla hatchback, and went to Rosebud. He did deny going to Rosebud to her originally.
On that day, yep.
But then later on something else came up that where he did say that he did go to Rosebud to do some tiling. Mm-hmm. And so this is where his lies would, he would say things, but then it would come out later when she'd ask different questions, she'd get the truth. Yeah. So she started making a few connections in her sessions. And look, we can get into later in terms of the actual legality of this, but confidentiality and things like that, she was hesitant to speak to people about what she was thinking. So she decided to anonymously ring, Crime Stoppers.
Yep.
And so she did ring and say, look, I know that there's a man in therapy, through my contacts that he's presenting with, maybe you should look into him.
And
his
behaviours are escalating.
All these things. Mm-hmm. So as this is progressing and the police are looking into, different suspects, and his name is pinging also on lists elsewhere, and also then from a Crime Stoppers report, they're going, oh, hang on a second, we've got a report on that with that name mentioned, putting the two together. They decide to go and speak to Margaret. So the police have a chat with her and she's like, I do think that he potentially is a suspect here at the very least. And unbeknownst to her at that time, they start bugging her room, her office, so that when she has her meetings with him, they could hear what's going on. They also at this time start to surveil him. Mm-hmm. So he's quite heavily under surveillance because they do believe he would potentially strike again.
Yes.
Which I think, good job.
Fucking oath.
He should have probably been under surveillance well before.
Fucking oath.
But yeah, so between the two of the sessions being recorded and the surveillance, they're getting snippets, they're getting small bits of information on him and building a case. Mm-hmm. It was very slow going though.
Because he played games. Like he was just fucked. Totally fucked.
Absolutely. Well, he would as one of the things that Margaret really spoke about was the fact that he enjoyed watching her reaction to things. So sometimes you had to be a little bit careful of, is he just trying to get a reaction out of me or is this truth? So as you say, the games he would play and that she would have to sit there and listen to some of these most god-awful things that he, and show empathy somehow to this person so that she could have a therapeutical impact on, that just blows my mind to try and be like that with somebody who absolutely repulses you to your core, but on outwardly not show that you are reacting to their disgusting behaviours.
My face
would say everything. I'd be vomiting in her office, I think. He's just gross. Yeah, but at a point, the police do confess to her that they are recording the sessions, and she then is knowledgeable to it at a point as well. He also then eventually gets to a point where he says he wants to take her but they go down and do a trip down to Rosebud because that might jog his memory. But this was, again, it was all part of his game, though, of like, you know, revealing it all to her, I think. It was, he's really screwed up.
Yeah.
So they ended up wiring her up for this trip down to Rosebud. This occurred not long after, I believe, they found her body, I think. Or
Yeah, I think it was in that week.
yeah, because he was, maybe if I, he sort of says, I might remember more if I go into the area. So they police and Margaret sort of do team up. So she is wired up for us, and they do follow them, and unbeknownst to him. And they do a trip down there.
Because she was worried for her own safety. So
As
the police, you would be. She's like, I'm getting in a car with someone who I think has murdered a child. Like, you know, what could happen to me?
And
so
what if you do just say the wrong thing that snaps him one way?
Totally.
Like, and all of a sudden he goes, wait, you know too much.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what he tries to say at this point, though, is what happened is that he did get her to come into the car, and he admits to that and pulled her in. But what he says is that as they're driving along, Sheree started to have like a bit of a panic attack because she didn't want to be there. And in her panic attack, she choked.
She was coughing
and
a lot.
Died.
Yeah.
Which is just absolute utter bullshit.
Fucking
And somehow he thought that people would believe that story. So because then he was like, he actually said to Margaret at one point, like, well, if I did go to the police and confess this, you know, like what would be my likely outcome from that? And she said to him, like, oh, you know, it'd be manslaughter, not murder, because, like, you know,
you didn't
actually kill her. I mean, so she was, you know, very well au fait to like go along with this shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, God, there's no way that actually happened. That he thought people would believe that just blows my mind.
I know.
Yeah, but they had to go along with him doing this whole, you know, panic attack killed her. Yeah.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah. You still kidnapped the little girl,
Yep.
by the way. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so this is the line he's taking the whole time. And, yeah, but he ends up pinpointing exactly where this spot is, where the body was found, which was not released to the public.
Nope.
It was a general area. He took her straight to where the body was left and said awful things. After this all occurred, there's people who said they spoke to Margaret along the way and could see her declining in terms of her own mental health, trying to be in the same room as this man and hear the things he was telling her was taking a huge toll on her. So not only is she feeling unsafe, but she's also being told horrific things that have occurred in this exact space. I can't even imagine what she would have been going through. So that's just awful. But it did help the police's case,
for sure.
at least. Yeah.
They had all of that on recording.
Yes.
And, obviously was then used to arrest him. So he was arrested and charged with the kidnapping and murder of Sheree Beasley.
We should say that wasn't until March 1993.
Yes. It was literally like nearly 2 whole years later.
Yeah.
And then I believe the trial didn't start until the October of that year or December of that year.
Yeah, because it wasn't until 94 that he was December 94 that he was actually.
Oh, so it was another year again.
Yeah, that he was actually convicted.
Out.
Yeah.
So just absolutely crazy.
Yeah, so you're probably right. Probably the October the trial probably started.
Yeah. So, I mean, absolutely horrific. But, I mean, I guess thankfully the way that it all panned out meant that – so there was a lot of legal argument with regard to using these recordings from Margaret Hobbs because of the fact that, you know, there is this perceived client-doctor sort of what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for?
Confidentiality or privilege, they call it. Yeah.
So, but the thing that got it across the line was the fact that Margaret wasn't actually a doctor.
Well,
so
exactly.
They were able to argue in court that they didn't have a privileged relationship because she wasn't actually a doctor.
No, so the only people that actually this privilege is actually connected to is Catholic priests, medical doctors, and if she was a psychotherapist, which is doctorate, whereas a psychologist,
psychiatrist,
psychiatrist can also fall under that category. It's medical, and hold that doctor status. Whereas a psychologist doesn't, even with or without the qualifications, whatever that throws me. But psychologists don't fall into this category.
No.
So she is not held to that same level.
That's right.
So it was more of so for her it was an ethical thing, not a legal issue.
Yep.
There's no common law that applies privilege to conversations between psychologists and patients when there is emerging view that a legal activity has occurred.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was able to be thrown out, and all that recorded stuff was able to be used between the two of them for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is great because that ended in a conviction of the kidnapping and murder of Sheree Beasley, and he was sentenced bloody months later, but sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
The other huge thing that got him in the end too was, so they arrested him in the March of 93, and he was put into a cell.
Oh, yes, I forgot about this, yes.
Yeah, so he was actually in a cell with a particular person by the name of Peter Reid.
Yes.
Now, there's a couple of Peter Reids in the crime world, but this one is R-E-I-D.
Yeah.
Now, he was actually considered within the top 5 of the most dangerous people in Australia. He had killed a cop, so very, very bad, and not liked by police officers at all. So the two of them were in a cell together
because they had to be protected prisoners, because they one was a cop killer and one was a kid killer and rapist and pedophile.
Yeah.
So they had to be in this special unit together.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So basically in that cell, Robert Lowe started to confess to Peter what he had done. And so Peter Reid had gone to the police and said to him, I'm being told some pretty awful freaking shit over here.
And for him to say that.
It's next level. He's one of the worst of the worst kind of stuff. We need to really push that. He was known as real bad news.
Yeah.
So the police sort of came together and were like, well, maybe let's have a listen to what he's got to say. So they pull him in and have a chat with this Peter Reid. And they're like, this information that you're giving us is something we want. Would you be willing to go in and wear a wire and do this? And originally Peter Reid said to them, sure, but I want X, Y, Z. To the police's credit, they said, no, mate.
No.
Not going to happen.
Yep.
You're not going to get anything.
Yep.
You know what you'll get out of this? Putting away one of the worst child molesters, child murderers. You will go down in history for doing that.
Yep.
If you want to help us, help us.
Yep.
If you don't, fuck off.
That's on you.
Right? Now, the thing was, Peter Reid, he was like, okay, all right, maybe I'll do this. But he actually said the clincher for him of actually saying, and diving in and doing this was as he went to walk out of the room, the police officer, just out of natural reaction to situations, he shook his hand. And Peter Reid he said that he had never had someone shake his hand who was in a position of authority like that.
Oh, wow.
Particularly not a police officer.
Yeah, right. Especially given what he was in prison for.
So he saw that as the biggest sign of respect, the fact that this man shook his hand, and he took it from that moment on that he was determined that he would get this guy.
And he did.
So he went in first into the cell, and he was this. So Peter Reid's a very intelligent man, very manipulative man. But so is Robert Lowe. So he went into the cell and he decided to go about this in a way which I thought was quite smart. He took the tact of saying to Robert Lowe that he knew a crooked lawyer who could help him out. But the lawyer would need to know the facts so that then he could be able to come up with a story that would include factual information to be able to get over the line, to be able to get you out of this and get you out of a conviction. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Robert Lowe started spilling his guts. Oh, he told him everything. Peter Reid actually also drew. He was actually an architectural draftsman he'd been trained as. And so he drew all these maps and things and drew pictures of all this stuff of what he was even being told. So not only has he got the recordings, he's got drawings visual aids to all this. So they come away from that and the cops are like, this is great. However, you did too much talking. So they really found that because with this, they needed it to just come from
So I
Robert.
think what they worried about was that Peter Reid was like
leading
him,
the conversation.
And because he was, I guess, seen as being quite a powerful figure in terms of the prison hierarchy, they wanted to make sure that Robert wasn't just
being coerced.
Saying it, or saying it to make him look good in front of Reed's eyes, basically. So, they needed to get him to go back in and try again.
He actually ended up having to, in the end, he did 3 different separate recordings of this. And by the third one, they'd got there.
Yeah, they were like, okay, cool, this is what we need. And they were able to use bits from all of them, but
But what they also had to go with that too was CCTV from the actual prison, which showed how comfortable Robert Lowe was when he was talking. It wasn't as if he did have someone standing over him to do this. So between all of that, the information was great. So then Peter Reid had to go into the court, and for the very first time he sat in the witness box and to give his evidence. And it, like, obviously the defense lawyer for Robert Lowe, he took this as a, I'm going to eat this guy up, and he tried to push buttons with him, and he did push buttons with him and got him to fire up because he had a very short temper. But they finally got that all calmed down and spoke to Peter Reid and said to him, "You're going to fuck this up, mate. You're going to have to calm it, keep it calm, and tell it out how it is." And he did a very good job. And so that was really one of the that, along with obviously what Margaret Hobbs was able to put forward, really put the nail in the coffin for.
Absolutely.
For
I also
Lowe.
feel like, so Lorraine testified. So they were so his Robert's wife, estranged wife. They were no longer together once she found out exactly what had happened.
Yeah.
And she also testified, and I found her testimony quite interesting because her statement originally was, and this was because this is what Robert told her to say or to do, was that, well, he'd actually instilled in her a real distrust of the police.
Yes.
So given her upbringing, she didn't have any interaction with the police. It's not like she had, the police officer visit the local primary school and that they're a safe person to go to. None of that. So because he'd had so many little run-ins with the police over the time, he was like, the police are out to get me. Don't ever talk to them. They've I don't know what's going on, but they've got it in for me. Don't ever say anything to them.
It also convinced her that having small run-ins with the law was normal.
Yeah, like everyone has a run-in with the law. No. So she just thought, okay, the police are out to get him. And I mean, she was so naive.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when they started asking about her, when they interviewed her in relation to Sheree's disappearance after they'd arrested Robert, she was like, no, he was home that day. Anyway, upon reflection, many, many months later, what she realised was she was actually out all day at a tennis tournament with their sons. We haven't even said that, but they had two sons. And she was out at a tennis tournament with them all day. She got home and she was starting to make dinner, which is how she knows he got home at about 5 o'clock or whatever time it was, 4:45. And she said the weirdest thing happened. He immediately took off his clothes, had a shower, and went and put on a load of washing, something he had never done in the 19 years of their marriage to that point.
Nope.
And she said to him, why are you doing that? What are you doing? And he's like, oh, I need some casual clothes for tomorrow. And she's like, he had plenty of clothes. Like, no.
Yeah. So she also did leave Robert in the midst of this. Yeah. So I think it was fairly early on so I think maybe 92-ish or something like that. She did leave him.
Yeah.
So between that time and when he was arrested, he had nowhere to live in the end. He was dumpster diving for food and living in like a halfway house kind of situation in like Grey Street, St Kilda, which is actually where they arrested him at. So his life declined drastically after she twigged to the fact that her sons actually sort of stepped in and went, Mum, what they're saying he's done, he's done.
So their sons actually cottoned onto it pretty early on. Apparently one of them he was a learner driver and he was in the car with Robert, and they on the radio it came up and it was like, anybody who lives sort of in this area, if you own a blue... And they listed 4 different types of cars. It was like a Toyota Corolla, a Nissan whatever hatchback, and a blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, blue hatchback colour, basically.
Can you please turn yourself into the police? We just need to have a quick look through your car, get the VIN, sort all that out. And so Robert's son said, well, why don't we go? Like,
Yeah,
we'll
we
just
should
pop
do that.
in now. We should go and do that. And he's like, oh, no, it's not my type of car, no. And that was what made the son go, why wouldn't we go? And that was his first inclination that there was something a bit not right here.
And you can't tell me that then if that's your immediate reaction to that,
You knew something
You knew
else.
something already. There was already dots connecting elsewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, for a young kid, I mean, he was probably 16,
17,
to be able
probably.
to go, wait, what's my dad been up to?
Yeah.
Like to have that untrusting kind of feel.
Yeah.
There's stuff's gone on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Oh God.
Oh dear. So
yes. So, as you say, he was convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment plus 15 years, and he was marked as never to be released. So no parole, nothing. No. He would be in prison for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And he was. So unfortunately,
he's dead now.
He died.
Not unfortunately,
not at all. No, I didn't mean to say that actually. Fortunately, not soon enough. He died on the 4th of November, 2021, which, did you know, that was the day after, now unrelated story, but I just like the connection here.
Yeah.
He died the day after little Cleo, who went missing in WA, was found.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just thought that was an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they're different stories, but some parallels in some way. But thank God she was found.
Yes.
But yes, so I just thought that was interesting. Now that he was obviously in jail for many, many years. He, in that time, was the police believe he was fairly instrumental in orchestrating this, that there was a child pornography ring where they would have like visitors come to the prison and, smuggle in material, photos and things like this of children to then be distributed around the jail. And he was sort of leading that. What
a fucking deviant.
So clearly Leopard has not changed its spots and never would.
I think in his sentencing, the judge, who was actually in tears at the sentencing because of just the horrific nature of this and the absolutely tragic loss of Sheree's life, but he said, you are unable to be rehabilitated, and that is why he gave such a sentence.
Yeah. I mean, Margaret Hobbs always said that too, from her take on him, of all the therapy she was doing with him. At no point was he making any progress. She said
there was no remorse.
He was constantly escalating, even with therapy in place. It wasn't even stabilizing. It was just, she knew that he was going to perpetrate something eventually, which is why she got that gut instinct to straight away with that Rosebud connection, that it had to have been him.
Oh, gross. God, it's horrible.
Yeah.
So Margaret Hobbs actually wrote a book, or started to write a book about all of her experiences with regard to this case. I think for her it was a way of getting it all out on paper, because, as you said, she really suffered throughout all of this. I can't even imagine. But she actually passed away while she was writing the book, and the most beautiful Andrew Rule finished the book off for her and published it. Andrew Rule, you can listen to his podcast. I love him.
Oh, he's great.
Just so great.
Yeah.
Listen to his podcast about this case, because he's got a lot more knowledge than we do about it. And obviously he's, co-authored a book about it. So, definitely give that a read, or listen to his podcast as well. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
But that's kind of
the story of Sheree Beasley.
I think keeping her name out there, just remembering what a beautiful little girl she was, sparky, vibrant, young life that was tragically and horrifically lost.
Oh, absolutely.
And her family, again, that far-reaching ripple effect of crime.
I was going to say, there was one story I heard about her grandfather, Neil, who we spoke about, in saying that he had a lot of guilt in terms of him and how he'd raised his daughter, and Kerry, and then obviously Sheree, to the extent of to look for Sheree. There was like a clairvoyant at one point, prior to it being announced publicly that it was a blue car. In her telling, she said that there was a blue car involved, named a name, and a couple of other details and things. And so when it was found out that it was a blue car involved, he was like, he latched onto this information, right, that she obviously did know stuff.
Yeah.
And particularly then he looked up this name that she mentioned, and he found that there was a small town outside of the Hunter Valley in New South Wales by this name. And she mentioned a few other things that connected, like a particular place of that's where she is.
Right.
Right. So he took it upon himself at this point, like this is early days. He got in his car and he drove from the Mornington Peninsula to this little town north of the Hunter Valley.
Wow.
And he found a place there which was like an abandoned house, checked it out from top to bottom, searching, found that she wasn't there, obviously, and got back in his car and drove all the way back to Melbourne.
It's like a 12-hour
one-way
trip.
He did it in 12 hours. He did it in 24 hours, like the back there and back. Like actually to the point of like no sleeping, whatever, and he did it, that he actually damaged his car. I think he hit some roadwork sign or something at one point because he shouldn't have been driving.
Yeah.
He was probably lucky that's all that happened, really.
Yeah.
But that's how determined he was and how much love he had for Sheree and how he wanted to find her. That just breaks my heart.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Oh, so I mean, because I think out there is a lot of information of, you know, obviously Sheree had a pretty rough upbringing in her short life, but people loved her.
Oh, yeah, she was. I think it's undeniable that she was loved.
And she was, as much as maybe she was not supervised in those moments where she should have been, she was very much loved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think that's ever been disputed.
No.
I think she had a wide network of people around her who loved her. And the community that she was living in really sort of embraced her as well. She was being raised by a village, I think.
I agree. Yeah. And that's what we should do.
Thing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If only there was better villages. I mean, Rosebud at this time I say was quiet town, but you know, we should have said Robert Lowe had seen Sheree previously to this. He had targeted her. Yeah. It wasn't as random as it appeared.
No.
He had seen that she was not supervised on a regular basis.
Her.
Yeah. I think at a dance class he'd been loitering around that she was attending as well.
She was, and that was actually reported to the police.
Yeah.
So he actually was fondling himself, looking through the dance class window. He was fondling himself, and so obviously that was reported to the police. They never caught him.
Yeah, they didn't know it was him at the time.
They didn't know it was him. So the dance class teacher was like, you know, sent a thing out to parents saying, you know, this has happened. Make sure that, you know, you're here to pick up your kids on time, and, you know, that be extra cautious. And the dance teacher actually said she was really concerned about Sheree because she rode her bike to dance and home again. And even after this incident happened, that still continued. So he did know her. He had seen her around. We don't know how long he'd been following her for. I believe there'd been sightings of him around Rosebud Primary School as well. So there's a lot of opportunities there for him to have really kind of gotten a bit of a feel for, the fact that she probably wasn't actively supervised, really.
Yeah, he apparently that day, he went down to Rosebud to see Sheree.
Her.
Like, that's how deranged he was. He'd gone from church that morning where he was a Sunday school teacher.
He was also like a cricket coach and stuff, and you just think, fuck.
And he's got convictions. Like, I mean, get into all that at the moment. But
yeah, I know. But like, this is back in the time before like a working with children check and stuff. And this is why we've got these working with children's checks. I know people are like,
paper they're written on.
I know, but it is maybe a thing, you know, and it might stop somebody from getting one, thinking that something might come up, and then they won't be working with our kids or volunteering to be a coach or whatever.
Yes.
I know it can be a pain in your ass to have to do one, but
there's
for
reasons.
the safety of kids, and I'm sure there are better things that we can do, and all that's a completely separate argument.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, there was nothing like that back then.
No.
So how are they to know that the cricket coach was a fucking pedophile kiddie fiddler? Yeah.
Ugh. That's it. Oh, he's just gross. Yuck. Absolutely gross human, and I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah, me too. Yep. Me too. All right, our next episode next week is Jamie Faith.
This one?
It's an interesting case.
Yes.
I actually don't know a huge amount about it. Jamie is the husband. It was, you know, husband and wife. Jamie and Jennifer off the top of my head.
Yes, you're right.
That's where I had Jennifer in my
Maybe
head because
that's
I think
why.
I'd just written down Jamie just right before we started. Okay, anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Just going back to the start of the episode there and how my brain works. So stay tuned next week for that one.
Yes.
It's a really fascinating case, that one, actually.
I'm really looking forward to looking into this one.
Yeah, me too.
Got me gripped, actually.
Yes. Okay, so we'll come back and visit us next week for that.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us. Again, we really appreciate everybody's support.
Come join us over at the Patreon as well and join up. We're going to be releasing that episode ASAP. Sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Excellent. Oh, stay curious, crime besties.
Bye.